Welcome back. This is Cover Your Assets. CoverYourAssets21.com. Log on, download your free copy of the Financial Crisis Bible. It's invaluable information no matter where you fall in the financial spectrum, whether you're prospering right now in the new now, or if you think you might be struggling, or if you definitely are. CoverYourAssets21.com. Now, Craig Nestor, Jason Walgrave, and Todd Rooker, we've been talking quite a bit about short sales, and it's a huge topic in today's world because there are a lot of them being done, and irresponsibly in some cases. So Todd, right before we went into the break, I asked you, okay, what is going to be your advice or your role in someone deciding to do this?
Well, it's great because I appreciate being able to say this. You can go to an attorney, you can go to a CPA, you can go to a financial advisor, a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, and every time you walk away from one of those meetings, you'll be more confused than when you started because everybody's got their own perspective on things. You go see a bankruptcy attorney, they'll say, well, don't waste your time with a short sale because you know what? What's the difference? You're filing bankruptcy. It doesn't matter one way or the other anyway, so you might as well just sit in the house and milk it for all it's worth. Really, it doesn't make any difference. Well, I can do a short sale and a bankruptcy, and within 2 years, I can qualify for the best mortgage financing that FHA offers with the best interest rates. But if I sit my rear end in that house and milk it for all it's worth, it'll take me 5 to 7 years before I can be a homeowner again. There's no difference, really? Mm-hmm. So you know what? My job is to know what the CPA knows, the attorney, the financial advisor, the mortgage broker, the real estate agent, and the credit specialist all rolled into one, and then to direct traffic so that I look at the overall picture and position that person to accomplish their objectives. And I know what the implications are. I know the length of time it'll take to recover. I explain this to a person, and then they choose and they pick their path. Before they even begin to miss payments, they've already got a strategy in place. Where does that begin? It begins with looking at a comprehensive budget. And this is, to most people, the idea that I'm considering losing my home, short selling, or what have you, and I should be wasting my time with a budget doesn't even occur to them. Well, here's the problem with that. People will tell you things like they'll do anything to keep their home. And then you put anything in front of them. Instead of babbling and saying, I'm going to tighten my belt and watch my money to be able to keep my home, I lay out birthdays, Christmas, anniversaries, hockey, dance, swimming lessons, and I show them where they're spending their money, which is always a shocker. And I don't care if it's a financial advisor, because 30% of my clients that pay me to help them manage their day-by-day money, not their investments, but their day-to-day money, are financial advisors. So I deal with this every day, and I see this, and then in the next breath, I show them the hockey and the dance and the date night, and I say, what are you willing to give up? And they say, well, I'm not willing to give up those things under any circumstances. That's what makes life worthwhile. Well, give me a break. What are we talking about here then? See, so until you look at a comprehensive budget, you can't really make these decisions objectively. Likewise, when you're doing a short sale, if you don't go through the process of doing the money management piece, leaving out the house payment, leaving out the rent payment, you put everything in and then you go back and you say, here's what I'm willing to give up at this point, which will leave you how much is left to be able to look at or to put towards rent or a house payment. Now you know the number, and then you go looking in that price range. But if you haven't done that, you'll go look at a lease, sign a lease that's a little bit less than the house payment that you thought you couldn't afford, and you'll wind up in the same horrible situation you were before. Yes, the payment on the lease is less than the house payment previously was, but you can no more afford this than you could afford the house you just lost in foreclosure, and it happens all the time.
And you lost your tax advantage, too, with the
Absolutely.
write-off. So, Craig, I know that you spent years really researching the work that you do now. I mean, you come from a lending background extensively, and you really are into the concept of the new now and what it takes to not only survive what might be happening in one's financial life, but move forward and rise again as a homeowner. What are you seeing on a day-to-day basis when you are talking to families that may need a short sale or may be facing foreclosure?
One of the things that hurts the most is the general sweeping information that's on the internet. The information that's available to people actually comes from the very people that profit from foreclosing your home. We talk about what Todd says, I want to be able to get to somebody before they make a late payment. And then, Kel, you say, well, what about the situation where the bank says you have to make a late payment before I'll even talk to you?
Right.
You're not actually talking to the bank. Mm-hmm. You're actually talking to the servicer. You're not the client of that servicer. That servicer is the client of the investor. They get paid the percentage of the late fee. So it's in their best interest that you actually go late, and that's how they can charge fees. We have to get straight and accurate information. It's what Todd says. People aren't looking at a budget. They're not looking where they need to look. They're listening to the people that aren't experts in this field. Having a real estate license doesn't make you an expert in foreclosure, either does a law degree. You need to interact with people that spend 10 to 12 hours a day in this process. That's why our show's here.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing about this team here, and not just the three personalities, Todd Rooker, Jason Walgrave, and you, Craig Nestor, who are on air consistently every week doing Cover Your Assets, but we've got a lot of people on the outside of it. But we're looking at this for a long-term solution for years. So if you speak to somebody, you may not be able to work with them. You may end up turning them over to Todd and or Jason and vice versa, because you guys aren't looking for just to get a short sale transaction listed, Jason. You're looking at clients for years.
Yeah, I get that once in a while when I sit down with clients and we decide, you know what, short sale's not the best scenario. Maybe we need to do a deed in lieu. And I've had clients ask me, well, why do you want to? Why are you giving us that advice, Jason? That doesn't, how do you benefit from us doing a deed in lieu? Well, because it's in your best interest. That's how I benefit. Because I know that you're going to tell your friends and family, and it's the right thing to do. And we're about giving the best advice that's out there. We want to show you what your options are. We want people to realize that they need to do something. They need
There's
to.
enough professionals out there trying to get money from clients.
Right.
There's enough people that are going, they're swirling in this storm, and people are reaching over the side of the boat trying to take their last $5,000. There's enough of that out there already.
Right.
That's a very important component when you're dealing with people who have volume to work with. They don't need any one particular deal. I'm booked out weeks in advance, so I don't care what a person does. I'm going to tell them what to do, and if they don't like it, that's too bad. Next, and I got more people in here, So, but listen, there's a value in that, because if this one person is my next meal ticket, I'm going to tell them whatever I need to tell them to try to get money in my front door to make my own doggone mortgage payment. That's dangerous to a consumer. So if you're dealing with people who have plenty of business and can give you unbiased advice because they don't need your deal to make or break them, you're going to get more valid information, and that's important.
I love how warm and fuzzy Todd is. I mean, he's just a little baby puppy. Yeah. He's just awesome in his suit at 7:00 in the morning.
I had a family listening to the show last week, and they called me, and they were very intrigued with this conversation. And because we opened them to what's available in the new now, and because of that, they uncovered that they could actually rent their home out for a profit and an upsize. Because our conversation was, the math says upsize. You can move up right now. And because of that conversation, they looked at it, found that it's actually an option for them. So this is not just how to land and crash against the rocks with less damage. It's really about moving forward.
Right.
But sometimes we have to kind of navigate the damage first.
Yeah, and you've got to, people have heard so much garbage that's out there. They don't want to hear the fluff. People are intelligent, but they don't feel like they have the information with which to make the decisions. So the posture that I portray on this show is the same one that you'll get when you're sitting in my office, because I want you to know that this is accurate information. I don't care who tells you other things. I'm right, they're wrong. This is simple stuff, and this is and that's maybe a bold statement, but nobody wants wishy-washy stuff at this point when it relates to their lives. This is it, man. I got to know the right stuff to make the best decision. That's what I give them, and that's what we do here.
You can't be a riverboat gambler with people's houses and their money. You can't take chances. You can't be commission-driven. We have people that have children out there.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's really important to know that that's what I like about this group being put together. Again, you'll take the client, or send the client, I should say, to whoever is the most appropriate person to assist with whatever their situation is. And it now is not the time to take anecdotal evidence from the water cooler.
And you don't build strategies around things that have low probability of success. Somebody wants something and they're hoping against hope this is going to happen. And I say, what's contingency plan B, or what's the backup plan? They say, well, I don't have one. We just have to make it work. And I say, let me tell you what, your strategy is based on about a 10% probability. That is insanity. You've got to have a backup plan. We can go for the best case scenario, but we better have backup plan B and C waiting in the wings, and you better be positioned and know when to pull the trigger on the next option. If you don't, your plan is destined to fail.
And you can, but the upside, Todd, is that you can get yourself in a position, if you do this strategically, as you just outlined, you can get back into homeownership a lot faster than a lot of people realize, as long as you go about it concertedly, right, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what it comes down to is, 2 years compared to potentially 7 years. And there's even some cases, if you've never been late, on a payment, and you can do a short sale without ever being late. There's financing out there that if you've never been late on a payment, you do a short sale, you can get financing in 1 year, as long as the house that you're buying is less than the one that you sold on. So there's options out there, and people have options, and I think that we have the answers to those questions.
There's another issue too, which is simply this: you're making the decision.
Correct.
Instead of laying awake at night looking at the ceiling and wondering what's going to happen tomorrow morning, if I have access to all of the information, I already know the worst case scenario, and I get to pick my path, then I'm in control, my posture changes, and my stress level subsides dramatically.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about here on Cover Your Assets, 855-835-8500.